the Mad Mix Cheap Whiskey Review. I believe this is number 22. So the Mad Mix Cheap Whiskey Review. Number 2, the Whistler Double Oaked. On the shelf at my store, they had 4 different versions of the Whistler. 2 of them were over $30. The other one was like a honey flavored, and it was $21.99. This one is $21.99 too. I think the ones that were over $30, one was like maybe a coffee flavored, and one was an Oloroso sherry cask, fully matured in Oloroso. Now this one says double oaked. Obviously, it's used bourbon barrels. I might even see it here. Yeah, bourbon barrels, and on their website it says they spend 6 months in a sherry barrel. So they take different single grain and multi-grain, like a single malt and the Irish have a specific way of labeling their, the grains that are used in their whiskey. Like, for instance, the Scotch say single malt. That means one malted grain from one distillery in one distilling season. You know what I mean? That type of deal. This got to be like the Irish version of a blended Scotch, I would think, based on what their website said. You can tell by the color on it. Yeah, if it spent 6 months in an Oloroso sherry cask, probably wasn't a very good one, because there is barely any sherry color on that. You know what I mean? And of course, it's non-age stated, so it's probably 3-4 year old. You know what I mean? Not very much. So, with that being said, let's have a nice whiff. Yeah, it smells grainy and earthy. If you dig deep enough, maybe you can get like a pitted fruit in the backside, like a plum or a raisin or something. But you're digging real deep. It's not offensive. Not offensive at all. It's very clean smelling whiskey. But it's triple distilled. You know what I mean? If you can triple distill any kind of raw dog, moonshine, white lightning, whatever you want to call it, if you can triple distill it and still have it smell ethanol-y, well, then you've got some shit mash. I'll tell you that much. So it's very smooth on the nose, not overly ethanol, not offensive, but honestly, not a lot of character. I get a lot of malted barley, maybe some unmalted barley, heavy on the grain, heavy on the earthy notes, but not unpleasant. If you like Scotch and Irish whiskey, you're going to like it. It's smooth enough on the nose. All right, down the gullet. Here we go, people. Yeah, okay. You get the nose. Now maybe on the palate I get a tiny bit of that hint of fruit. And when I say hint, I mean hint of fruit. Because I can tell, like I said, just by looking, if that spent 6 months in a sherry cask, I don't know what that sherry was made out of, but I can show you jars of sherry that I soak my oak staves in for my finishing and stuff, and sherry is like almost black. You know what I mean? So to have that little color, I'm not positive on how wet those sherry casks were when they got them. They might have been dried out or something. All right. Very malty nose, pleasant, not offensive. Very malty palate. Well, people, if you don't like malt, you don't like malted barley, you don't like unmalted barley, you're not going to appreciate this at all. But if you do like malted barley and unmalted barley, and you're looking to get that flavor for $21.99, well, the Whistler might be right up your alley. It's not a bad whiskey. It's a very unrefined whiskey, but it doesn't taste like a totally young whiskey. You know what I mean? You can do far worse for $21.99, but Honestly, there's not a whole lot of sophistication here. It's all malt all the time. You know what I mean? With maybe a little tiny hint of some sherry cask aging. Not a lot, and quite frankly, not enough for me. You know what I mean? You could get the Sextons. You could up your game maybe $6-7. Get the Sextons, made by Bushmill. It's entirely aged in sherry casks, and you get a lot more of that flavor. You could step it up a little more. Get a Black Bush that has. I don't know if that's entirely aged in sherry casks, but it's got a lot of that sherry flavor. You know what I mean? And once you start stepping up from this, it's hard to find something in the $21.99 price range that's got that heavy sherry flavor. So, with that being said, the Matt Micks Cheap Whiskey Review number 22, the Whistler, double oaked, supposedly in sherry cask. All right, I'll give it about a 6.1, 6.2. All right, I'll stick with 6.2. It's not horrific, but it's by no means the pick of the litter. You know what I mean? It's just kind of okay. If you like a malt flavor, what I would say is if you really like a malted barley, unmalted barley flavor, if you like that malty barley flavor, it's very smooth. It's not offensive. It doesn't burn going down. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's not offensive. There's no ethanol on it. It doesn't smell like paint thinner. It smells perfectly good. It tastes perfectly good. It's smooth, but it's malt heavy. This is like, you know what I mean? This is about as malty as a glass of Irish whiskey can get. You know what I mean? And I'm still amazed. They say it was put in a sherry cask. Oh my God. Not according to my lying eyeballs, it wasn't. All right. 6.2 on the Whistler Double Oaked. Not too bad, not too good. Yet another middle of the road cheap Irish whiskey. So, people, Happy New Year if you haven't heard me say it already. Love yourself, love your friends, love your family, and try to love cheap whiskey. All right, be good, y'all. I'll see you on the next one.